Vignette number 123 from Zen Is Right Here, Teaching Stories and Anecdotes of Shunryu Suzuki. My wife and I were agonizing about whether to continue to practice at Tassajara or to leave and raise a family. We decided to talk to Suzuki Roshi about it. He listened to us for a while and then abruptly picked up a brush and ink and wrote 5 words rapidly on a sheet of paper. I was shocked by his vehemence, and when he handed me the paper, the message struck me like a blow from the stick. Without further discussion, we decided to remain at Tassajara. Do not say too late. May 14th, 1969, Rev. Suzuki. That's how it's signed. It's dated and signed. And Dan Welsh tells that story. So this would have been after the spring practice period. And May 14th, well, the guest season had already started. That starts on May 1st. I think of Dan and Louise as mainly being at Tassajara the years Suzuki was alive after we started it. So Suzuki wanted them to stay, and he used his impromptu calligraphy there in English to express himself. See, Dan says, I was shocked by his vehemence. It was like his whole body and writing on it. Good Lord, they were very important in the early Tassajara, both of them. Dan was like, I called him the Eagle Scout. And Louise, she was strong, and it was good to have her there, and she stood up for herself, too, which women had to do, especially wives, especially the wife of a priest. Though Dan wasn't a priest yet in '69, he became one in 1970. Like she said, she always felt respected by Suzuki, but she had to stand up for herself because like in Japan, the wife is like, will stay in the temple or will stay back, and the husband will go to the monastery. And that might go on for years and years, and he'll come back at certain times, and say hello to the kids. Kids will be born. But she wasn't going to have anything to do with that. Sometimes, like with Bill Lane, I remember Bill went to him and said, I want to leave. And he would have liked Bill to stay, but he just said, I know I can't talk you out of it. So, he gave him his blessing. And Bill was back. And it wasn't always stay. Sometimes somebody would say they really, really want to stay. And he with the officers, a lot of times the officers, would say, we need so-and-so in this city. And if he agreed, then that would happen. And he'd say, well, we really need you in this city. And they'd go, okay. There was a time I loved being there. I loved being there. I had to leave. I had to miss the practice period. I sure didn't want to, because they said, they wanted to rotate me out but it was only 3 months in the first 5 years there. But I left I left to study Japanese, and he did not want me to go, but I said sorry. I didn't want to be there for the summer to run the guest dining room for the third year in a row. The whole time I said I'll do the first half of the summer, and then I'll come back. But then, and he didn't want me to go. I was going to study Japanese intensively in Monterey, but I was one of the people who disagree with him and stand up for myself if I really wanted to do something. So he gave in. I went there, and then he could not believe how much Japanese I learned, and I stayed for the next practice period out in Monterey studying Japanese. And then he said, "Oh yeah, I want you to study Japanese for 2 years or whatever here, and then go to Japan and blah blah blah." I said, "No, I'm going back to Tassara. This is all I can do." he said, "Okay." And in those early years, I only wanted to be at Tassajara. But then after he died, and I was there, I came back. I was 72 in the city and 73 at Green Gulch, and then 74 and 75, I was back at Tassajara as head monk and director. And I loved it. I loved both of them. But, I don't know. I guess I was under too much pressure as director or something, because I started developing arthritis in my neck and my arms. Sometimes my arms and legs would hurt me. Like when I was trying to sleep, it was the worst thing. They would hurt when I was resting, or if I was driving. And I remember I had to pull over once in the city and lie down, and then it wouldn't. I don't know. And so Richard Baker wanted me to stay for another year to be director. I said, "No, I can't. I have to leave." And I can remember being in staff meetings, and he'd say at the end of the summer, like the fall's coming up, he said, "And David will continue as director." And I'd say, "No, I'm not. I won't do it. I've got to get out of here." And I was right. As soon as I left, it went away. So, different things could happen. And, one thing that's happened is that is the end of this book. I mean, there's end matter, but I'm not going to read the end matter, like the glossary and, some stuff at the end. So we have gone through all 123 vignettes from Zen Is Right Here, teaching stories and anecdotes of Shunryu Suzuki. And I thank you very much for joining in on this. If this is your 123rd, or if this is your first, because you certainly don't have to listen to them in order. But we'll see what happens next. I'm going to keep doing the mini vignettes. In fact, I think what I'll do is do a mini, not the mini vignettes, the mini podcasts. I've got to, because I got other things to do. And I like doing a podcast 6 days a week, but the mini podcasts, they're cool. So I think I'm going to do a mini Life in Bali podcast for tomorrow, or for today. I'll do it today, Thursday, and then I'll put this one up tomorrow, Friday. And then, I don't know, I'll figure out something else. We'll see. But anyway, thanks for coming along for the ride, and check you later. This has been a Cuke audio mini podcast. I'm DC Booba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Dogette Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear, lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.